If you're thinking about making a move to Temecula, California, watch this video. We're gonna talk about the pros and the cons of living here in Temecula and hopefully help you make the right decision for you and your family. So let's watch this video. Hey guys, so my name is Justin Short. I'm a realtor and team leader for the Short Real Estate team here at Signature Real Estate Group in Murrieta, California. So I have lived here in the Valley for over 20 years and wanted to take some time and create a video for you guys to talk about the city of Temecula. So I've lived here in the Valley. I've lived in Temecula for over 8 years, lived into Murrieta for over 8 years, and I lived in the city of Winchester for like another 5 years as well. So we've lived here locally for a long time. I hope I can give you some really good perspective and insight to the area and the pros and the cons. Right now we have a lot of people that are making the move here to Temecula from out of the area. So we're seeing people from San Diego, LA, Orange County, some from Northern California, and some even from out of state that are wanting to live here in the Temecula area. So I wanted to take some time to talk to you about the pros and the cons and hopefully give you some reasons about why you would want to live here or maybe why you wouldn't, and hopefully make the right decision, decide you don't want to live here. So let's go ahead and get into the content. But first, I did want to ask you, if you are liking the videos and you want to see more videos like this, please go ahead and hit subscribe. It helps me, it helps the channel. We're trying to grow it. So please go ahead and hit subscribe. And if you have any specific questions, you can feel free to reach out to me anytime. So you're going to see my information. You can call, text, email. I've had a lot of people reach out to me lately that are thinking about relocating or on their way. So please reach out. Would love to help any way that I can. So let's go ahead and talk about Temecula. I've never not lived here in California, and for me, it's an area I plan to live in for at least the next 20 years. So I have young kids, I'm married, and I have a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. Our daughter's getting ready to turn 6 next week, and we see this as a great area to raise our family. The community is continuing to grow. It's safe. It's just a really great area, I think, to be in long term, and in Southern California, so I think it's a great investment just for real estate in general as well. So we're going to talk about the pros and the cons. So first, let's go and talk about the pros. So the first pro that we're going to talk about for Temecula is just the overall affordability. So although the average pricing here has gone up quite a bit since I've lived here over the last 20 years. I think my parents bought their first home for like $150,000. So it's not quite as affordable as it once was, but for Southern California, to live in a nice area with a good school district and quality, a quality area, it is very affordable. So that's why so many people are moving here from San Diego, LA, Orange County. So average price point, say in San Diego right now, is almost $1 million. I think is what the average is, and the average price point in Temecula is right about $700,000. So although that's still expensive, it's still getting up there, much more expensive than it's ever been. Yes, it's for Southern California in a nice community, super, super desirable, super affordable compared to what some of the other options are. The second thing that's going to be a big pro for the city of Temecula is the school district. So the school district is awesome. It's super, super highly rated. They've basically, if you pull up all the different school websites like School Rater and all those different things, there's 8s, 9s, and 10s pretty much across the board from elementary, middle school to high school. There's some really great private school options, and even the high school here that's in Great Oak in South Temecula, it's one of the highest rated high schools in the entire state. So there are a lot of award-winning schools. They're rated super highly. Our daughter, granted she's young, she's only in kindergarten, she's part of the Temecula School District. We've had a great experience so far, and it's something super that's highly recommended. So the third pro that we're going to talk about is the city of Temecula is one of America's safest cities. So over the last decade, Temecula has consistently been rated anywhere from the top 10 to top 20 safest cities in America. So not even just California, but safest cities in America. So there's not a ton of crime, although any city is going to have their normal amount of I guess, mischief, right? But very, very safe, and that is great when you have that family and you want to be in a safe area and an area where you don't have to necessarily worry about looking over your shoulder or all some of those different concerns that you may have. We're going to talk about pro number 4 is going to be just the proximity to everything. So we're here in Southern California. We are in South Riverside County. We're just north of San Diego County. But one of the big benefits to living here is you're really very, very close to pretty much anything that Southern California has to offer. So you're about 45 minutes to an hour is kind of the general rule of thumb. You're 45 minutes to an hour from the beach. You're about 45 minutes to an hour to the desert. You're about 45 minutes, maybe closer to an hour and a half to the mountains, a little bit farther to the mountains, but you're about 45 minutes to like downtown San Diego. You're 45 minutes to an hour to parts of LA. You're about 45 minutes to Disneyland. You're really within a very easy driving distance for day trips for pretty much everything. So that's one of the big benefits here is you are very close to all these different things. So if you want to take those weekend trips with the family or friends or whatever it is that you're doing, it's a great area for that. That's a nice central location. And then pro number 5 that we're going to talk about is it's a well-kept, well taken care of suburb. So there's a lot of tract homes are out this way. It can be a little bit cookie cutter, right? So you get a lot of tract homes that are well kept with the HOAs that keep things taken care of. But when you're living here on a day-to-day basis, to me, I think it's something that's super, super nice, right? So you walk outside, your neighbors' homes are taken care of. A lot of them have HOAs. They're not parking cars on the grass. They're well kept. They're not painting their house purple. They're well taken care of. And to me, I think that's a big plus about living here in the area where it's a nice, well-kept, clean community. And so let's kind of talk about the reverse. Let's talk about some of the cons. So I have lived here for a long time, so I do realize it's not a perfect place to live, and it's not going to be perfect for everybody. I've definitely know people that have moved here and maybe weren't super happy, didn't really feel like it felt their lifestyle, and wanted to move out of the area pretty quick. So that may happen to you. So hopefully this will help you, give you some perspective so you don't have to go through that. So number one biggest con, I would say, is that although I listed as a pro that we're about 45 minutes an hour away from everything, that's also the biggest con to where we're not right next to anything, So it's not like if you're living in Southern California, a lot of people think, well, I can go to the beach and it's 10 minutes down the road. That's not the case. You're 45 minutes to an hour. If you're going to go to the desert and want to play, that's 45 minutes to an hour. It's not right down the street. You're not there in the city. So if you are a big beach person, if you're a big desert person, a big mountain person, or a big city person, a lot of times you may want to actually live there in that environment so you can just walk out your door and boom, you're there at the beach, or boom, you're right there at the city, right? So that's not necessarily the case here. We're going to make that day trip to go out to be able to do that stuff. So for me, I like the flip side of that. I think it's a pro, right, where I'm not too far from anything. But some people, they want to be right there. They want to be right in the mix of it. So that could definitely be a pro. That could definitely be a con. So we're about con number 2 is we're going to talk about just average price point. So although for Southern California, Temecula is pretty affordable for the area for everything that you get, on a nationwide scale, Temecula is really pretty expensive, right? So the average price point across the nation for a home, I think it's about $260,000 right now. It's the last stat that I saw. So, but knowing that in Temecula from 260, we're about 700,000. So that's a pretty big swing. That's $450,000 swing between the U.S. average versus Temecula, California. So that can definitely be a con for people, is just the overall affordability, especially if you are a first-time home buyer. That can be really tough because you got to save up that cash somehow to be able to get into the property. So that can be tough. If you already live here and you're selling a property, or you live somewhere else and you're selling a home and you have that equity, you're going to put that down here. That can be a lot more palatable. But especially as a first-time home buyer, it can be a hard market to break into just because the price point's so high. So we're going to talk about con number 3. And this is really a big one for a lot of people that live here. And it's the commute. So bottom line, one of the worst parts about living here in Temecula is the commute. So the city and the area around it is really a big bedroom community, right? So most people, they live here and they commute out to work. So they go to San Diego, they commute to LA, they commute to Orange County, but there's just not a ton of industry here. So they live here and commute out. So most of those big employers are still in those big cities. So going through COVID, however, a lot more people are working from home. So if you're working from home, it's not going to be a con, right? Or if you're only commuting in 1 day a week now, post-COVID, that's not too bad, right? But if you're going to get up and you're going to commute 5 days a week, you're going to San Diego, LA, Orange County, I mean, that can wear on you. The average commute to San Diego, it's about 50 minutes right now. And depending on what part of Orange County, it could definitely be another 50 minutes plus, depending where exactly that you're going. So I can tell you that's actually my parents, they lived here for over 20 years, and my dad was making that commute day after day after day. And after about year 20, man, he gave up the white flag, and he's like, I'm moving out. I can't. They moved out of the area closer to his job. So, but they raised the kids. They were empty nesters. Life had changed for them. But that can definitely wear on you, and that's something I hear from a lot of clients as well. Is, hey, I can't do the commute anymore. So that's something to pay attention to. And we're gonna talk about con number 4. And we kind of touched on this a little bit in the first section, talking about the pros, but one of the biggest cons for people can be the cookie cutter tract homes. So when people are living from out of the area, they may be used to living maybe back east or other parts of the country where some of the homes have some different character and things like that, where our area, the Temecula area, most homes were built from mid-90s, like 94, 95, through 2012, 13, 14, 15, right? So during that time period, the builders built a lot of stucco boxes. They're more open now than they used to be, but they're still stucco homes or wood, on slabs. Wood built, they call them stick built homes, right? With stucco on the outside, nice finishes inside, that's what I live in. That's what most people here in the area live in, but that can be a con for a lot of people. Sometimes if people are from out of the area, especially from back east, I hear this a lot, is they feel like everything looks the same. Like there's not a lot of character in the different homes. Like you don't have maybe like the brick built homes, right? Or you don't have the cabin looking homes or any of those different nuances. So that can definitely be a con for people if you want a little bit more diversity in the types of homes. So most of the homes out here are going to be stucco homes built mid-90s to 2012, 13, 14, 15. So just an FYI, and something to pay attention to and make sure you're okay with that. Okay, we're going to talk about con number 5. So and this kind of relates back to the first point that we went over talking about price, but right now it's just a hard market for first-time buyers to get into. So because the average price point is so high in Temecula, you are typically doing anywhere from like a 3.5%, 5% down payment as a first-time buyer. When you're buying a $700,000 home, that's a big down payment, and that can be hard for people to get into that ability to buy here. So we do see people that do, alternatives. They'll get into a condo, get into a townhome. They'll live in that for a couple of years, build up some equity, and then sell and maybe buy that bigger home down the line. But if you are just trying to come in the area, if you're my age, I'm 32, right? So if you're looking to buy your first home and you don't already own a home, and so you're trying to save up that money for the down payment, it can be very hard to buy a home here in Temecula because of the affordability. When you're buying that $700,000 home, 5% down on $700,000, I mean, that's $35,000. So that's a big chunk of money. That can take a lot of people a long time to save up. As opposed to if you were selling a home as a move-up buyer, you have that chunk of equity, you can just put that down. So they can be a very tough market for a first-time buyer, and I would say it's probably one of the 5 biggest cons about living here in Temecula. So, hopefully this video helps you guys out. So like I mentioned, I've lived here a long time. Hopefully I want to give you some of my perspective, and also just on the real estate side of things, my perspective on some of the pros and cons here to the area. Overall, I think it's a great area. I plan to raise my family here. I can't see myself moving out of this area for anytime in the next 20 years. I think it's continuing to grow, and I think it's just a great place to invest in real estate as well. But hopefully this video helps you guys. If you are liking the content, again, please go ahead and hit subscribe. It helps me, helps the channel. We're keeping videos coming once per week, and feel free to give me a call or a text message if you have any questions about the area. We have a lot of clients who are relocating here. I would love to help in any way we can and help make that process as smooth as possible. So cool. Thanks again, guys, and have a good rest of your day.